And hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Here's your live evening radar update. As we approach the 10 o'clock hour, we have a few thunderstorms approaching parts of southern and central North Dakota. In South Dakota, gusts of wind damage property, 100-mile-per-hour gusts down there. Here's what you can expect as we head into the evening hours. The details coming up right now.
A Hutch's weather update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
All right, I sure appreciate you watching, and check out the radar right now. Rain showers through northern portions of Minnesota. And if you're watching, go ahead and drop a note or a question. Let me know where you're watching from in your post, and be happy to answer those questions. We do have some very strong and severe thunderstorms in South Dakota, a few sneaking over the border that are stout but have been below severe levels. Out to the west in Montana, much needed rainfall falling as well. Let's go to northern Minnesota first with a look at the showers impacting our area. Now we go from Kittson County here, not far from Hallock, and also out towards Roseau County, Greenbush and Badger. That Highway 11 corridor seeing some rain, and it remains extremely dry in Marshall County, Minnesota, with most of the rain missing you. Out towards Baudette and the Rainy River area, out towards International Falls and Rainy Lake, we do have some heavy thunder, shower activity pushing its way off to the east. Now, here's the strong thunderstorm activity going on south central North Dakota. We're talking Emmons County with a couple that could be producing some hail just east of the Cannonball area, just east of Fort Yates at this particular time. And in Ashley, we have a fairly stout thunderstorm cell, but the strongest down here near Leola, South Dakota, heading in that general direction of Forbes. You see that little blue dot right there? That's not snow. That's hail potential with this particular cell. Now, according to the Weather Service, 3/4-inch diameter hail and 50 mile-per-hour gusts will be possible from this storm. Mike, it's great to have you on board watching from Jamestown. Barbara Paulson, thank you for watching from Leeds, North Dakota. And I'll tell you what, that Devil's Lake Basin is going to have a good chance of picking up some more showers of rain. Gabriella, thank you for watching, and I'm thankful for you. You're watching from eastern Montana. Let me know what part there's some much needed rain coming in your neck of the woods. So as we take a look at the general overall picture of where this rain shower activity is moving, let's switch to this other radar. I have it looping already. You see these kind of developing now in south central North Dakota and just slowly meandering their way off to the east. Now, let's talk about those Montana showers. Those are oopsies, I moved my whole banner up there. That was unexpected. Sorry about that. Some scattered showers moving through areas along the Highway 2 corridor in the northeast quadrant of Montana, and moving out of Billings towards Forsyth, Miles City. We have a couple of thunder showers, nothing severe. Let's go back to South Dakota and show you where things have been terrible throughout the evening hours. This batch of storms here, just off to the west of the Oneida area, you can see 100-mile-per-hour winds there. And power lines are down, blocking the road, estimated near 100 mile per hour. So that's a wind measurement, a wind estimate there. 60-mile-per-hour gusts were estimated there, basically at the county line with Hyde County in South Dakota, 18 miles north of the Holabird area. So strong thunderstorms there. Now look at what's rolling down the I-90 corridor just out of Wall. If you're shopping there, you got another scattered line of thunder showers making its way in, but the strongest are off to the east. There are a number of thunderstorm warnings that are in effect here for this cell and cluster of cells moving in that general direction of Murdo. This area here, a 63-mile-per-hour gusts in Murdo, and then we look out to the west towards Phillip. Here is a look, 54-mile-per-hour gusts from those storms as they blew through that neck of the woods as well. So we continue to see very gusty straight-line winds. Look at this Buffalo storm just to the south, moving over the corridor there just north of Spearfish and Newell. Now, this storm also producing some monster winds to near 60 miles per hour just north of Newell, and south of Buffalo, we got a 53-mile-per-hour gust reported as well. National Weather Service says that this storm will be capable of 1-inch diameter hail. So gusty wind thunderstorms. These are all, here's Hutch's hunch with regards to these storms. Let me get my crayon here. All of this activity right out here, the strongest of which has been severe at times and producing very nasty winds. Hi, Marie from the Thompson area. Good to have you on board, Janet, as well. These are generally gliding off to the east toward the I-29 corridor right now. Same thing is going for these, but we are seeing some development, as you can see, just north of the Steele area here in Kidder County. We'll get to that in a second. So the general movement movement of this cluster of activity is going straight east. Thank you so much, Brant Lenz, for supporting Hutch with sharing stars on the Facebook channel there. I do appreciate it very much. Now let me put that crayon away so we can sneak and see what's going on here. As we go up into Wells County here, we have some cells forming just south of Fessenden near Bowden and Goodrich out there, and one lightning strike just moments ago outside of Goodrich. Did you hear it 3 minutes ago? That's what the timeline says on this one. So these will also drift off to the east. So we're getting a little bit of development here to the or along and near the I-94 corridor here. Now, models that I showed earlier just moments ago showed this kind of expanding and moving into the Red River Valley, the I-29 corridor as we go through the evening with those thunderstorms. Will they be severe? The risk of severe is a little bit lower here in the Red River Valley. In Montana, we have Havre seeing some scattered showers and storms. These are all drifting to the north and east also as a cold air mass gets set to move in. Let me show you a picture of what's going on with our temperatures as we head into the 10 o'clock hour Central Time, and in Big Sky Country, we're talking about that 9 o'clock hour. Look at this. Miles City, Montana, still 91 degrees. It is almost 40 degrees cooler just north of the border in Saskatchewan up there. So there's a big time temperature difference. And along this boundary here where the cold front is, clearly visible by the cool pool of blue up here that's heading its way into the Big Sky Country in northeast Montana. So if you happen to be in Glasgow, Wolf Point, Culbertson, Plentywood, all the way out towards Sydney, these temperatures will be falling like a brick right on your big toenail. Matthew, good to have you on board. How about severe chance in the James River Valley tonight? I'll diagnose that for you here just momentarily as we take a look. The risk is a lot lower than down to the south, but I will go over some of the numbers that we have for our energy in the atmosphere. Why don't we do that now? Because that's one of the beauties of Hutch's weather, right? You can ask me a question and I'm here to answer it for you. You can talk to your television all night and not always do you get an answer. So let's go ahead and do that for you. And if you don't mind, pass along the good word that Hutch's weather will answer your questions. Here's a look at an extension of the slight risk area here in central parts of South Dakota. Look at this. It has nudged all the way up to the North Dakota border here. So Emmons County, you're very close to this slight risk. What's a slight risk? What's the yellow mean? That's a level 2 risk on a 5-level scale of severe weather. And we've seen those windy storms making their way through. Our area here, James River Valley, Fargo, Grand Forks, Bemidji, overnight, these storms will be drifting to the east and to the north. The ones developing now in the James River Valley, just north of you and north of Steele area in Kidder County, those will be drifting off to the east and northeast tonight, meaning we could see some windy storms tonight. Wind has been the main threat tonight. There has been some hail out there, but wind has been by far the main threat. This is where the energy is in the atmosphere. Let's see if we can plot that energy. I want you to think for a minute. When you get an updraft in a thunderstorm, you get updrafts. We don't often walk down the street and notice that our shorts are blowing up and our shirts blow off from the ground up, right? We don't always notice that because the wind doesn't move up and down as fast as it moves horizontally, and that's what we call wind, air that's moving. Now, when we get rising air, the faster it's going up, the more bigger the hail can be. But not only that, these storms in South Dakota have a lot of energy pushing that air up. The thing is as the hail and rain comes down, they're collapsing and producing crazy wind gusts out there. D, thank you so much for your stars. Appreciate it. It helps Hutch grow, and I've got some growing I'm doing right now as there are big time projects in the work here at Hutch's Weather. So this is a look at the risk area. Now let me see if I can pull up some numbers for you and some digits with regards to how much energy there is in the atmosphere. So let me get this information out here right now. There we go. This is called convective atmospheric potential energy. We call it CAPE in meteorology. And it's not the kind of cape that that the old superhero wears, right? This is energy in the atmosphere. And the more energy there is, you can think of it as faster rising bubbles or parcels of air. Here, where we see this highlight here from Bismarck South, there's quite a bit of energy in the atmosphere. So where you see the pink to light blue colors, and by light blue, I mean this stuff right here, that is some pretty intense upward velocity. Just think of how strong must the wind be blowing straight up into the air to support a baseball-sized piece of hail, to support a golf ball even up in the air. It's cooking. So we have 50 to 100 mile per hour updrafts. And as it comes down, boom, we get some wind that's blowing, and that's air in a hurry. Let's take a look at what this energy is. The levels are measured in joules per kilogram of air. So joules is an energy measured, 5,000. That is huge atmospheric energy as you go into the Sioux Falls area. So as these storms move into the eastern third of South Dakota in particular, there's a lot of energy right now. Do you see this? Okay, now let's get into this North Dakota area here. As you go south of Jamestown, that's 5,000 joules per kilogram of energy. That is huge upward vertical motion. Now, some of these storms, as you get that rising bubble of air, no matter how fast it wants to rise, if it runs into a warm pool of air up above, it won't want to rise it fast. It'll slow it down and maybe reverse it. So there can be that negative convective energy in the atmosphere called a cap that kind of blocks that vertical motion. So as we take a look at what's going on right now, we have plenty of energy in the area where these storms are forming right now for them to become severe. So Hutch will be here watching these storms for you tonight and keeping my eyes on them. But the trend has been in the last 2 hours for most of the storms in South Dakota to decrease in intensity just a bit as they've worked their way through and out of the pier area right now. Thanks again to all of you for providing support on Hutch's weather. I heard a noise, and that could very well be an upload of a photo. And if you happen to be in South Dakota watching on Hutch's weather, I'd love to have, when it's safe to do so, photos uploaded to hutchesweather.com. So we're going to take a break from this interesting discussion. We'll get back to it with your questions. And I hope that did answer your question there about the energy. Yes, there's a chance of severe. The chance is pretty low. Gusty wind will be the main threat. And in Jamestown, you don't want no more gusty wind. It's been blowing hard enough this summer. We're ready for a break. Now, all right, let's see what we got going on here. On Hutch's Weather, you can go ahead and click on the viewer pick section here, or be happy and scroll down and you'll find the big sections here where you can, well, sign your kids up to help Hutch do the weather right here in Fargo at Luther Family Ford. Or you can sneak down just a little lower and push on the big buttons to either view or upload your own videos. Videos are allowed, and photos directly from your phone. So you can go to your mobile device and you can plop in hutchesweather.com and upload the videos you've taken and recorded. And it'll let me know right here while we're talking, I'll hear a notification like we just heard. And when I hear that, I check to see, whoop, do I got a new video uploaded? Do I have a new picture uploaded? Deb, New York flash flooding. You're asking about that. We had that same question last night. We will get to that. Hey, love your analysis, Hutch. You make me smarter. You know what? I don't claim to be the smartest or sharpest knife in the drawer, but this is something that I've studied for a long time, and I've forecasted weather around here for 30 years, and it's one of those things where you just kind of have fun sharing a little bit more information on a platform like this than you can in a couple minute, broadcast from different platforms. So that's what I appreciate about what I do now. G. Clevin, thank you for watching from Grand Forks. And Russell, thanks for your kind words as well. Josh's Weather is asking, can you go back to Pennsylvania, please? I never lived in Pennsylvania, but I've been there once, and I went to a Pittsburgh Steelers game out there. Let's go ahead and get to the radar. All right, as we take a look at the energy in the atmosphere, there's a lot of it. On the radar itself, as we look at the radar view, check it out. As you got the strong thunderstorms in South Dakota, strong thunderstorms along parts of Montana that have, generally been below severe criteria, but some much needed rain in parts of Montana falling from them. Down in Albuquerque, we have New Mexico showers in the northern part of the state, and it's quiet. Whoop, through the gray midsection that you see here from Kansas City all the way to Indianapolis. As we go out to the East Coast, we do still have some concerns with weather out here. However, as we zoom into New York State, there have been flash flood warnings, and I'm looking that it just may be that they have been allowed to expire. I'm double checking this now with another source here just to make sure looking at the right thing. So as I do take a look at the watches and warnings that are in effect, let me turn on the warnings. I still do see a couple of warnings in and around parts of upstate New York with flash flood warnings, and quite a few as well in portions of central Pennsylvania. So I'm going to go to my other source because I do believe it to be correct in this scenario. Here's what you got. This gray stuff you see here. Look at this. This is an air quality alert. And I can tell you what, here in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Montana, our air has been schmuck. That's right. Wildfires in parts of Canada have just laced our air with a thick smoke, the thickest I have ever witnessed in my time here, unless I was standing by the campfire when it was really smoking too much. That's how bad it was. That's sneaking its way into parts of the mitten of Michigan and upstate New York. Now, as we take a look, the entire area you see in green here throughout Pennsylvania, that is flood watches, okay, for more rain in the forecast, but it expires in the next hour. Many of these flood watches, as you see here, from Williamsport to State College, PA, by the way, one heck of a college for meteorology students. If you want to check out Penn State, do so. They teach a lot of meteorologists about meteorology in the East Coast out there. Now, we do have some areas where we have flash flood warnings remaining. Elizabethtown and Manheim. As you take a look at this, this is not a flash flood watch. Let me see. A flood warning expires in 50 minutes as well. That's good news until midnight Eastern time, Standard Time there. Daylight time. I'm sorry. I'm trying to talk too fast. So law enforcement reporting that the heavy rain in Mount Joy Township due to thunderstorms causing some flooding. 4 to 6 inches of rain estimated in those parts as they've gone through the day. So that flash flood warning remains. South of Allentown, PA, we've got another flash flood warning in effect, and that one's still in effect for 5 hours. Now, with the terrain in this area of the country with the Appalachians and the wrinkles that you see on Hutch's map, it tells you that water, when it hits, is going to move quickly. So never ever try to drive across rapidly moving water out there. 1 to 4 inches of rain has fallen. That don't sound like much, but when it gangs up on a particular valley or drainage ravine, it really rushes downhill. So turn around, don't drown, find another way. So that's what's going on in portions of Pennsylvania. Check out New York out here. Look at this. Big time flooding out in the New York City area and even on the island out here as we go into the Smithtown Oyster Bay area rather. Expires in 7 minutes for some flash flooding that has been a problem out there. New City flood warning continues up in northern portions of the metro here as we look at the metropolis area of New York City. In the next 1 hour or so, the western burbs of New York here, Irvington, Newark, all in flash flood warning for the next almost 2 hours as well. So a lot of flooding going on the East Coast. Look at this down towards the commercial township area south of Millville and the Vineland area out here. We have some continued flooding outside of Atlantic City. So flash flood warning there. Radar and gauge indicated heavy rain amounts causing that flash flood warning. So that's what's going on the East Coast. It's wet. It's wetter than my socks after a sweaty day here in the Northern Plains. I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but I'm going to say Tappahannock here, seeing a flash flood warning in that area. And there's like 3 of them, 1, 2, 3 separate areas of flash flood warnings going on there. Radar and gauge indicated warnings, 1 to 2 inches of rain with the terrain in that area causing flash flooding problem. Considerable damage reported possible or likely in this central portion warning that you see here. That's considerable damage, 1 to 2 inches has fallen in 30 minutes in that area, and the water's rushing. If we read the text on this, we're talking about central Essex County. We're also talking about portions of northwestern Richmond County and southwestern Westmoreland County in Virginia. Terrible rain falling in a half hour's time will cause life-threatening flash flooding. Again, turn around, don't drown. If the water's rising, seek higher ground immediately in those dangerous situations. So wet weather is moving off the mid-Atlantic states out into portions of the Atlantic itself. Love being here with Mr. Hutch. He's the best. Russell, thank you very much. Where are you watching from, Russell? Would love to know. Fires from Canada since last year. Let me see if I can pull up some interesting information because it's been pretty interesting to try to keep up with where these fires are. And when you look at the map of what's going on in Canada, so bear with me while I load this up. I let the wind blow me wherever it blows me. You ask questions about fires and the smoke. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I can find here, but we'll put up some details on a fire map here that shows us what's going on in Canada. And okay, let's go to this interactive map here. It's kind of a fun thing. Once I get it loaded and appropriately listing what I want here, we'll go ahead and take a look together. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, now let's get excited about what's going on here, because you know what? Here's two things to keep in mind. A lot of folks have asked Hutch, oh, by the way, air quality in northern Minnesota, schmutz. It's just no good up there either. And it looks like it's going to be waving through for the next couple to few days here in the northern plains. So let's take a peek at what's going on. I'm hearing more buzzing. Nevis and Jeanette, good to have you on. Having family staying in the lake cabin. Cooler? Indeed, it will be cooler starting tonight and tomorrow. 20 stars from Nancy. Thank you so much. Sean, thank you very much. When does Fergus Falls get some rain? There's a chance in the morning hours, in the wee hours of the morning, that those central Dakota showers will make their way towards you. Ben, thank you. You rock too. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you know what? I appreciate and take very seriously the trust you put in me by saying you won't watch anyone else. I do appreciate that, and I do my best to cover the weather for you, and I'm going to give you honesty if there's something I can't cover because something's going on in life, because you know how life is. Well, then I'm going to let you know to make sure you stay informed however you can. What's my thoughts on Bemidji? Fertilizer down in Bemidji. Needs some rain, says Sean. I hear you. Braden says I'm going to be able to mow all day in Fargo tomorrow. We're going to have some showers of rain, possibly. It's almost impossible to tell what town a thunderstorm is going to move over until it gets a little bit closer. But I can tell you, we have a decent chance of rain that tops about 60 or 70% as we go through the overnight. Hi, Hutch. Sent you a picture of thunderstorm coming to Montgomery, Pennsylvania in Muncie, PA. All right, that sounds like a picture. Thank you for the heads up on that. Let's go ahead and take a look at this fun map. I wanted to talk about fire, and then we'll get to your pictures because I can hear them coming in. Look what's going on in South Dakota. Severe thunderstorms continue down there. Temperatures the last 2 days, triple digits out there. This is the Badlands of South Dakota for you folks watching in other parts of the country. It's windy out there, and the storms really don't have a lot of trees to slow them down out there. So those winds can really rock out of them thunderstorms. Now, let's go up to this other monitor up here, and I'm going to take you on a little wild ride to my friends in Canada. Let's see if I can put this back up here. Oh, where's me screen? It's just showing this fancy video here. Let me take that off. Okay. There. Oh, I might have to reload this. Okay, so let me find something. There we go. Now we can see it. Okay, so I had to do a little adjusting here, but let's go ahead and take a look at this. What you are looking at is Canadian fire risk. So we're looking at the fire danger that's on this map. You can go to this site. This is on the Canadian wildfires. If you search it, you'll get to their interactive map. That's what I'm using. But I don't want to look at the fire danger. We know it's extremely bone dry up here where all these fires are. What I want to see is where are the hot spots and where is the fire right now. So now let's take a look at some of the active fires, and this will really set you back. Check this out. Now, I'm going to sneak this monitor over. I'm just going to move the whole screen on you here. And what you can see, I know it's a little bit difficult, but if you're watching me on full screen on HD, you can see me on your big screen TV. Now, take a look at these digits out here. Red dots that you see are out of control fires. Under control fires are the blue ones. So yes, a lot of people, are talking about Canada not fighting fires. They're trying out there, but look at how many there are. Are you kidding? If we had this many fires in an area here, it would be tough. You know what? You got a lot of things to consider here about why fires are burning. And if you take a look, the purple here, that means out of control, but monitored fires there. So anything purple and anything red, all out of control. So you're looking at Ontario, the western half of the province, completely saturated with a bunch of fires going on that are out of control. Look at Manitoba, all the way through the central part of the province. We got a lot of out of control fires. So that's what's fueling the smoke that's making its way in. Did you see the tornado vortex in the Utah fire, BA? I did not, but that fires make their own weather, including clouds and tornadoes, fire naders. That's right. Now, as you go out to the west, you get into Alberta, Calgary. We have out of control fires, but some are under control here. A few more are under control in Alberta. And then look at what's going on in Alaska. That's right. The 51st state up here has a lot of orange. What's orange? If we go ahead and take a look, that's other. I don't know what other means, but in Canadian, I'd say it means something else. So that's a look at what's going on here. We got fires up in Alaska all the way through the Northwest Territories here, and a lot of purple going on in the Northwest Territories as well. As far north as you said it, let's say it together here. This used to be that's Inuvik, Alaska. That's what used to be Point Barrow, Alaska, way up there in the far Northlands. So there's fires just all over Canada. This is where your smoke is coming from, and it's blowing down our way. And I offer this, a couple of things to think about. When you have this much foresty terrain, and you have dead bush and shrubs in there, and it happens to be a little bit dry because it's a spring season. We have a fire danger season in the northern plains in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and it's in spring. Before everything greens up, everything is dry. Well, I can tell you, up in central parts of Canada, if you have, say, a foresty area and it's been impacted at all by these pine beetles, that kills trees. You got dead vegetation everywhere, folks. You can't cut them trees and remove it fast enough. Canada's doing their very best up here to manage this, but it's tough. And there are some impacts going on right now. Now, here's another thing to keep in mind. Severe weather goes in spring from the southern U.S., and then as we get into early summer, it moves, the severe weather does, and the thunderstorms that bring rain to the central plains. And then now in the northern plains, about mid-June, we got busy here in Fargo, and it hasn't slowed down. But now we're getting to the better chance at seeing some heavier rain potential as some of this humid, hot air makes its way up into parts of Canada. And if it can make raining thunderstorms instead of lightning storms that make more fires, then we'll be good. And Geronimo says no wildfires in the winter, and that would be good. Ready for winter? I agree with you there. So that's a look at what's going on across that area, and we do have that wildfire. But I did want to show those of you who are interested in where the smoke is coming from. Look at Canada. It is just unbelievable. And as you go down into the lower 48 here, this is a Canadian site, so I imagine why it says other in orange here is because that's up to the United States to decide whether that fire is controlled or not, and they're not monitoring that. Thank you so much, Russell. I appreciate it. It's hectic. You're correct, Geronimo. Ready for winter? Indeed. All right, now let's take a look at a couple of other things. I do want to point out, let's go ahead and look at the model from the United States, and we're going to take a look at where the rain is going to go. And let's look at the Northern Hemisphere. So bear with me while I load this up for us, and we'll take a peek here, and you'll get a feel for, well, let's look at air quality since we're going down that road. And I do want to look at your pictures as well, because it's cool that you're sending them to me. I'm using a site. This site's called, well, the EPA Air Quality Map. And also, as we take a look at these levels that we see here, what you're looking at is air quality. It's a measurement of how many particulates there are in the atmosphere. So as the numbers rise, the air quality goes down. It's schmutzy. If you see red and purple, that's not good. Schmutz, bad. So we've got orange levels here that are actually better than we've had for a few days in parts of northern and central Minnesota. But if you take a look at what orange means, it's still unhealthy for most folks. So when you get to these levels where you see triple digits, 100s or up to 200s, that's really bad air. Look at where the fires are, and look what's going on in Medicine Hat. Medicine Hat, we have values up over 200 to 300 going on right now up in the Hat. So that's what's going on up there. It is not fun at all anywhere near these fires that are going on and ongoing in parts of Canada. Now what we see what's going on as we go into Michigan, this is what's heading to upstate New York. Look at Detroit. That's Detroit. All right, as we go in just a little bit closer, let me make sure you can see what I'm seeing here. All right. Getting into the Detroit area, we have a level of 263 being reported there north of the metro area. And you go out to the west just a little bit, it drops down into the 130s, but it's still just nasty air to be breathing in. So if you have a respiratory illness or anything of the sort, the elderly, the young, you just try to avoid your exposure to this nasty air as it's just kind of really pushing across the Great Lakes region right now. fresher air right now in Montana, but what we see up here is heading our way. So let's go to a USA view, and we're going to take a look at that forecast for schmutzy smoke, and we're going to do it here on Hutch's Weather. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to have to flip a couple switches to turn it on to the smoke forecast for us. And what we're going to look at is near surface smoke. We can calculate the smoke through the depth of the atmosphere, but we don't care if it's up above where we're breathing as much, although it has impacts. Let's take a look at the surface smoke that you're smelling. What are you dealing with out there? Okay, so as we set this into motion, let me get one that goes through the next couple of days. Here's the latest model. Smoke, and again, this model is a USA model that is the only one that's really reliable for this, and it only goes out a couple of days. It doesn't do Canadian data here, so unfortunately, I can't show everybody in the central part of the province where things are going, but you see it's just hanging tough with these very poor air quality levels across the international border and off into the Great Lakes area. But as we go through late tomorrow, we start to see south winds pushing some of that schmutz out of the way. So it starts to improve in Detroit, Toledo, and on up toward the mitten of Michigan. We still have on and off bouts with very thick smoke dancing into the Dakotas and parts of northern Minnesota. But notice there's quite a few areas where we get a reprieve as well. And even though we have a cold front snagging its way down out of parts of Saskatchewan here into parts of Montana and North Dakota, we do still see that there'll be some levels of smoke in the atmosphere that are a little on the high side. Must be some point source fires out here in the Rocky Mountain West to see levels this high out there. I imagine they're battling blazes in northern Arizona and parts of central Utah as well, and that might be the fire that you were reporting and referring to. Speaking of which, now let me take a look at what's been uploaded on hutchesweather.com. Thank you all so very, very much for uploading your photos. Let's see. Oh, we got Josh's weather, Montgomery, Pennsylvania. Let's go ahead and prove that. And Josh, thank you so very much for sharing your content with me. And now we'll share it with everybody. So let's go ahead to hutchesweather.com and we'll take a look at that photo right now. And I like to give credit where credit's due. And I need to make sure that you own the photo that you're uploading. You upload it to my site and you give me permission to use it, and then you get credit for it. So here we go as we take a look at what's going on in Montgomery, Pennsylvania as these storms form. We got some dark skies out there, a little bit of waviness to those. And just look at the terrain out there in PA and the trees, a little bit different. But one thing to keep in mind, look at how low these clouds are to the trees. That tells us that the atmosphere there was mighty humid today, a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. So those clouds form a little bit closer to the ground, meaning more rain has a chance to make its way to the ground. And that's exactly what you were battling out there. So again, thunderstorm early in the day today, and I do appreciate the uploaded video there, or picture from Josh's weather. I appreciate that, Josh. Thank you so much. So the forecast for tonight in the neck of the woods of North Dakota, I have a thunderstorm warning to get out. So let's talk about that right now. This is for Wells County for that line forming along that Highway 200 corridor that we were talking about moments ago. And appreciate it, Josh, very much. We've got a thunderstorm warning for areas south of Ellendale as well. So here we go, a thunderstorm warning for the cluster of storms forming in the Wells County area. Let me go in here and go ahead and get a little closer. Now, the yellow. The yellow is the thunderstorm warning for 1-inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour gusts. This storm firing up. Where's the hail? Where you see this light blue shade here, that's where the hail is. And this storm moving off to the east, as I mentioned, at only 14 miles per hour. That's torrential rain. Gusty wind to 60 miles per hour, not out of the question as well. And we do have what I will call a discussion on the thunderstorm heading in toward New Rockford. Now, we could have nickel-sized hail working its way towards you, moving east at 33 miles per hour as a thunderstorm that's pushing into your area. New Rockford and points south in that area could see some strong thunderstorm activity. I am switching over now to what I call single-site radar data. This is a lot more pixelated looking to you, but it tells me more information about what these storms are doing and what they're capable of, because it's raw data. It's not smoothed over to make it look fancy on the computer. I don't care about fancy. I want facts. So let's take a look at facts. From Cathay, Bowdoin, and Herdsfield and north, we have strong thunderstorms. 1, 2, 3 different updrafts in this line of storms. 1, 2, 3 different hail cores possible in that storm being scanned here on the low levels of the storm. So multiple areas getting some potential hail that's large, but the largest and the one the warning was put out for is this Hertzfield area storm crossing just over the highway south of Harvey, moving east. And it's moving east at that 25 to 30 mile per hour range. Look at what's going on here near New Rockford. This storm really piping up a bit here in intensity with some more bright blue reflectivity showing up there. Now, as we take a look at some of the other features of the storm with regards to, is it rotating? Do we need to worry about that? All I'm doing is looking at this information now to diagnose it in real time with you. This is what I would do behind the scenes at all of my broadcast stations in my past employment days. And check this out. We've got fast moving wind away from Mayville, North Dakota here near Bowdoin. Fast moving wind in toward the Bowdoin area. I have a DOT camera near Bowdoin. We're going to check that out. Thanks to my friends at the North Dakota DOT. We'll take a peek at what's going on there. So give me a minute while we take a look at these storms that are impacting the area near Bowdoin. This is Wells County, and it's working its way off to the east. So as I load up the data on the camera here, let's go ahead and take a peek at that area. Zooming in, and let me pick the right camera for the job here. Here's New Rockford. We'll show you what's coming towards you. Here's Bowdoin. As you take a look at the skies at night, we do see some clouds making their way in that particular direction. It's not telling me on this what direction we're looking at. I can't see much on this video other than the road there. And again, this particular line of camera shots not helping me too much. Let's get away from the storm just a little bit. And this is what that line looks like from New Rockford. So darkening skies there along US 281 as we take a peek across. And then as we look around here, it's getting more difficulter to see anything of significance in that area. Now, as we take a look from the Fessenden zone, let's see if we can see any more. Okay, here we got a break where we got sunlight in the sky. That would likely be, well, pointed some westerly direction or northwesterly. But look how dark that ominous part of the sky is there with thunderstorms in the area. So severe thunderstorm warning for your area with really dark skies out there. And I'll say this again, on the radar display, there is a little rotation in this particular storm. There's no tornado warning issued, but we do have some spin in the storm near Bowdoin. If you are in this area of the Highway 200 corridor here as a storm is approaching Highway 52, it would be a wise idea to stay in an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy structure for that strong storm that's rotating, has a hail core, and could be producing some spin in it. Now, I will take a look as we go up in the sky. Radar beam takes different slices through the atmosphere. It points up a little higher with each progressive scan as it goes through its scanning sequence. And let's go up one more high and see if this rotation is still there. Yep, and it's pretty strong in this one. Let me take a look. So we've got us some outgoing wind next to ingoing wind. So we do have some pretty stout velocities here. Some shear in the storm that's evident. A couple areas, 1, 2 areas of shear. Remember, there's a couple different updrafts with this particular storm as it's working its way off to the east. So I do think it's wise to seek shelter. If you're watching this now as we go into the 10:30 time frame, do you wake up the kids? It'd probably be not a bad idea. Just get everybody into a central room and stay away from the windows as this storm blows its way through, particularly in Bowdoin. That is the area I'm concerned about because it's a town, right? And we do have some spin or shear showing up here just north of the Hertzfield area as well from another storm. Again, severe thunderstorm warning, radar indicated, 60 mile per hour winds and 1-inch diameter hail. I'm going to turn on the markers on the storm here so we can see we've got hail markers here that say 1. That means about 1-inch diameter hail from this updraft. Same for this updraft. And this one here heading into that general direction of New Rockford also has that potential as we work our way through. Do you see the area I was pointing out? This is called a mesocyclone. It's a broad area of spin. So this thunderstorm is spinning and Hutch will keep his eyes on it. Let's go down to the border. Ellendale to Oaks. You have a severe thunderstorm warning. 2-inch hail. What? That's some hail there that's going to be headache hail. Let's go down to this. This is a 32 mile per hour moving storm. It's moving east-northeast at 32 miles per hour. 1 1/2-inch diameter hail is what the warning is for, and 60 mile per hour winds. And we'll track this one too and take a look. Now, I do see evidence of shear, but this is looking from Mayville. So I'm going to dual Doppler this and take a look from Aberdeen. Much, much closer, much, much lower scan in the sky, and therefore much, much more reliable data when it loads here. So we do have a couple of hail cores here as well. Both of them have a digit that says 2. That means very large hail potential from those cells as they're working their way up to the north and to the east. Let me go ahead and let me push this and see if I get some data loaded from Aberdeen. I don't know if my Aberdeen radar data is just taking a long time to load, or if it's just simply not available right now for me. So I am going to go to the warning for Oaks and Ellendale. If you're in Dickey County, from Ellendale all the way in towards Oaks, a storm is moving east-northeast at about 25 to 30 miles per hour with big time hail, 1.5 inches in diameter, and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Some boomers out there. Veronica says, sharing and tagging a friend. Thank you for tagging your friends on the coverage here. I appreciate that very much. Now, as we take a look, we do have storms heading to Bemidji tonight. Yeah, that's the question. And these will all generally be moving in that direction as we go through. I'll put up the regular radar data here so we can see. Here is the thunderstorm warning. There is one hail core with 2-inch hail. There's the other one. It's kind of splitting. Well, we got another storm forming on the backside, and this is heading right toward the county line. It's going to be a Hecla storm making its way towards you. If you're in Hecla, put the vehicle in the garage, and this wind that will come from this storm, by the way, will likely gust at you in Hecla and Oaks from the southwest. So it's going to come at you the way Hutch's thumb is, from southwest to northeast. So make sure the garage door's shut. These storms tonight have had a history of pulsing up, making sizable hail, but some pretty nasty wind gusts tonight. So if you happen to be in Ellendale, Oaks, Ludden, all of these communities, we do have a severe thunderstorm that is skirting out of the area near Frederick and heading in your general direction at this time. So that's what's going on there. Now let's take a look at the big picture as these storms are blossoming up. If you're in the Linton area and you are out here, you had some tornadoes back there a couple weeks ago. Napoleon, we got some hail possible from that cell where you see the bright blue there. And this real bright blue one here north of the Braddock area in Hazleton, that's also capable of some sizable hail. Now, as we take a look at how big the hail might be, we're talking about 3/4 inch diameter hail from a couple of these cells. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little more out of them, maybe some nickels. Moving off to the east, northeast at only 15 miles per hour, meaning some gully washers there. Golf balls, hold on here. Carports, if you have. Thank you, Hutch, for allowing me here. Yeah, you bet, Russell. And I'm sorry I ain't reading everything here, but where are you watching from, Russell? Good to have you here, by the way. Hi, Hutch. Traverse County going to get some rain. There's a pretty darn good bet of it, the way things are looking here in the Southern Valley. All of this activity here is heading in the general direction of the southern Red River Valley tonight. So if you're in Gwinner and Lisbon, you'll be next on board for these stout thunderstorms coming through. But we're also getting new development all the way back. It's starting to develop all the way back to Beulah and Hazen here north of Bismarck as well. And again, there has been some rotation on these storms south of the Harvey area. So I would recommend, now we're starting to get a little bit of a hook shape to that there where we saw the rotation as well. That can be another indication of a rotating thunderstorm. So we call this back building. These storms are building back, the energy in the atmosphere releasing. We started this update with a look at that energy, and it certainly is there. St. Louis, Russell, thank you for watching from St. Louis, Missouri. A little quieter down there, hopefully for you all tonight, than what we have going on here. Now, there are some areas that really could use some rain, but no wind and thunderstorms and hail. And that would be places near, well, let's say Marshall County, Minnesota. But all of the rain tonight just to the north of you. How does that happen? Well, I got to tell you, when we get dry at the ground, that can really dry the air out over your area. And if the air is dry when it starts rising, then the cloud bases are a little higher. And then the rain evaporates as it's falling through your dry air near the ground. So that can be part of the problem, but the other part of the problem is just good old bad luck with regards to where the rain system decides to set up. We will have a chance of some storms working their way into Marshall County as we go through the late night hours and on into the Minnesota area, northwest Minnesota. So I'm saying there's a chance for you folks in Marshall County, Minnesota. So if you're asking about Bemidji, it's going to be a long time. If you're asking about the Lake Traverse area in Traverse County, it's going to be quite a while yet. Let me show you the latest model guidance with regards to the storm progression as we go through here in North Dakota. specifically and western Minnesota specifically. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. And again, if you have another question, just let me know. Thanks for watching. It's good to have you on board. Here we go. This is one model's version. Now, this is called a rapid refresh model. It updates every hour, and sometimes it changes every hour. So my confidence in it isn't always the greatest. But as we take a look at this. It's showing storms firing up at after midnight. Well, they're firing up now. So when a model starts off like this, I say, let's get rid of it. It's just out to lunch. It's not really starting out good. We call that, how does the model initialize? And if it doesn't start off with a good forecast in the first 2 or 3 hours, you may as well move on to another model. I will move on to another model, one that has done pretty well over the last couple of storms for our area. And as you take a look here, this is very similar to what we're seeing. It does not have the activity in or near Pier at this particular hour, but it is showing storms forming with an area of low pressure near Bismarck and out here. This is exactly what we're seeing. The timeline of those storms starting to fire up is about now, 10 to 11 o'clock. So this model, which ran earlier, is doing a really nice job in North Dakota of the development. It has nothing in South Dakota firing, likely because it's capping it there. So what I will say is these storms will have a chance at moving into Grand Forks and Fargo as we go through about the late night hours of 1 to 3 a.m. and then moving into northwest Minnesota as we go into the wee hours of the morning. Will they continue to be severe? Well, there's enough energy in the atmosphere, as we showed you, for the potential for a couple to flirt with severe criteria. So that's what's going on. Brad from Cullum says the rain and the wind is picking up. So thank you for your report there. As we go into the morning hours tomorrow, I'm sorry, I skipped the model here, but as we go into the morning hours tomorrow, what we're going to see is these showers of rain. There they go, pushing off toward the arrowhead of Minnesota. And we dry up for a bit. We will not warm up except for the southern area. So southern Red River Valley into eastern South Dakota and southern Minnesota will really warm up again, and it's going to be hot there, but it's going to be not up here. And along that boundary, watch this, shazam, here we go, boom, thunderstorms firing southeast North Dakota, Lakes Country again, and quickly moving out toward the UP and portions of northern Wisconsin. These stout storms rolling through into Iowa and southern Minnesota will stand a chance at being strong into the wee hours of your Wednesday morning as well. That's a quick update to your forecast with brand spanking new model data. Oh, thank you, Russell. I appreciate it. I try to be detailed and precise. Let's go ahead and get back to the radar here. We're going to take a look at what's going on in and around the Bismarck area. For those of you watching, thank you very much. You're watching Hutch's Weather. Meteorologist up here in the Northern Plains for the better part of 30 years, broadcasting as a chief meteorologist for various stations up here in the Dakotas, both Bismarck and Fargo. And here's what we have. You're looking at Harvey in Wells County, severe thunderstorm warning. That storm was showing some signs of broad rotation in it as it was working its way across the southern portion of the county, and it's now heading in that general direction of New Rockford and Carrington. So as you can see, just south of New Rockford here, we do have some stout thunderstorm cells here, collapsing thunderstorm cells. What that means is the hail cores are likely falling down to the ground and could be producing some pretty stout wind gusts. Not sure what you're getting in the Bowden area or north of Herdsfield. South of Fessenden, it's mainly rural out here where the hail cores are showing up on the latest radar displays at this time. There's my radar data. That is from South Dakota. So let's get down here. Okay, the South Dakota radar loaded up for me now. Look at this beast down here. That is some big time hail core right on the state line. So you're looking at the South Dakota, North Dakota state line from Ellendale to Ludden. This is blowing its way towards Ludden. There's two hail cores here, one Frederick and points north towards Ellendale, and this one, both warned for, and it's just now crossing into Dickey County, North Dakota, just south of Highway 11. We do have a couple of cameras down there as well. This storm is capable of some very sizable hail. Let me go ahead and take a look at what our hail indicators are here on the algorithm. So 1 to 2 inch diameter hail. The Weather Service's warnings are for 1 1/2 inch diameter hail. So in isolated spots, 1 1/2 to 2 inch diameter hail is going to be likely from this storm. Latest movement, east northeast, 26 miles per hour. Let's go with an analysis of where the hail core is now and where it's moving. East northeast, 26 miles per hour. Shazam, shaboom. I speed it up a little bit because Scans take about 6 minutes to accomplish a full volume scan, so I'd rather tell you that it's going to arrive just a couple minutes early. I'm going with 11:04 in Ludden. 11:04, that storm will be moving next to you. 20 minutes it's going to take, so it's moving rather slow, and it's likely going to pulse. It may or may not be as strong as it is right now, and it will be very close to Hecla at about the same time, or maybe a little closer to 11 as well. So keep that in mind. That's this first wave moving through Cogswell. If it keeps working its way out towards you folks in the Foreman area, it'll be there by around 11:40. Now we erase that and we go back to the second wave. Let's analyze it. It's moving to the northeast also at a clip of about 30 miles per hour. So we'll put it at that 26 to 30 mile per hour range. And Hecla, it could be a heck of a night for you because that's a second wave of hail making its way into your general vicinity by 11:20. So the first one arrives, if I remember right, by around 11:04, and then just about 15 to 20 minutes later, the next system will punch its way through in a process we call training. Now, look at what's going on throughout the greater portion of Dickey County here from Cullum, where I got the report that we do have some activity going on there, straight south into Menango and off towards Fullerton. Just north of the Ellendale area, I've got a hail marker here on that cell that's working its way through. But Cullum, this is showing the hail marker at about 1 inch in diameter, possibly. So let's say 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch high hail is going to be quite likely from this storm. Now we can take a look at the probability. This is an estimate by the radar, by the way, by the radar algorithm, and it's saying the probability of severe hail is only 30%. So there's no warning on it yet. 1 inch hail is what we need for the priority, or excuse me, for the threshold to be met for a severe thunderstorm warning. So it's got about a 30% chance of making some severe sized hail there. So the strongest hail core right now heading into Ludden by around 11 o'clock. Be ready for that. It's moving along the South Dakota border. It looks like those warnings just dropped in that area. We'll see what happens here as the National Weather Service reevaluates. And as we take a look at what's going on up here in the Bowdoin area, this storm continues to be in the Bowdoin area, and we have another one forming on the backside of it near Goodrich. This storm was showing some signs of rotation, so I am going to take a peek at that and try to prudently analyze what's going on with the latest scan coming in right now. So here we go. This is not as impressive of spin or whatnot, and this is actually not spin when we see greens next to reds that are down the length of the beam. So let me take a look at, I think I'm looking at a radar in South Dakota. So let me switch it to one closer and see what this one's going to show. This will be lower in the cloud anyways. So yes, there is some spin on this storm still near the Bowdoin area. So strong outbound winds from the radar site in Mayville and pretty strong inbound winds, but they're separated by a little bit of a distance here. So that's what we would call a broad rotation going on there. And that's what's going on with that particular storm. So a rotating thunderstorm called a supercell thunderstorm is working its way east towards Sikeston right now. This storm is moving east at a clip of only 14 miles per hour. I will go ahead and turn on the regular radar data here, and we'll time it out for you folks in the areas of Wells County, and as it approaches both Foster and Eddy counties off to the east. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to try to turn this back to the regular single site radar. Here it goes. Here we are. The hail core is now approaching Fessenden and points south. It's moving off to the east. It's only 14 miles per hour. I'm going to put it at about 20 to give us a little extra time. And now we're looking at 11:54 arrival in Fessenden. That's now. I mean, did I say 11? I meant 10:54. 10:54. So it's now in Fessenden and points south. 11:19 out towards Cathay and Sikeston by 11:19. That's when I expect those storms to arrive in that area. We have developing storms that are likely moving fairly slow in and around New Rockford along the Highway 15 corridor and point south. These are moving east, northeast, subtly to the north. So just east-northeast at about 30 miles per hour. Those are looking pretty stout to me right now with regards to their ability to create some hail. So as I grab my Crayola out, this cell here likely has some sizable hail, nickel in diameter, and an isolated spot or two could even see something a little bit bigger than that as that storm moves. Look what's brewing here near Tolna, Warwick, Pekin. We do have a thunderstorm that's just starting to fire up in your neck of the woods right now. Okay, so the thunderstorm warning did not get canceled for Oaks and Ellendale, and in fact, this hail core looks even stronger now than it did before. So this is a very, very strong hail core right now. This might even be a bigger hail marker than it was before from what I'm seeing. And I'm going to take a look at a couple of more factors in the storm. So we got 2-inch diameter hail estimated back here on this second one. We'll wait for the hail estimate here, but I'm going to look at some dual polarization radar data here and see what we can see. This is a long ways from the storm, so I'm getting bad data. Let me switch to the Aberdeen radar. It is much closer. It'll also be looking a little bit lower in the cloud, so it'll be closer to what's at the base of the cloud, what's falling on the ground. So what I'm looking for here is correlation coefficient. Let's look for the differences in the targets, and I can tell you with the latest scan that hail core is now crossed primarily on the North Dakota side of the border where we see the grays. So those are hailstones right there, and big ones. When we see grays, that's generally a sign of some pretty large hail. So as we take a look at where this is measurement-wise, we'll go ahead and get Hutch's line tool out, measure from Ludden. This hail core is, as the crow flies, 9.2 miles to the southwest of you in Ludden. It's moving in your direction. So if you're in Ludden, prepare for some really big hail potential. 1.5 to 2-inch diameter hail from this right here. Joe says, is the Bowden-Fessenden storm tracking north at all? Kind of scared here in Carrington. I'll get back to that momentarily. So now we got the newest scan in for Ludden. We'll go ahead and clear that line path, and I'll draw another one. Here's the hail core. You can see it right here, this batch of gray. It's now even farther north of the line. So there is some big-time hail potential from that cell 8 miles to the southwest of you in Ludden. That's the hail core right there. So now as we take a look at this storm too to see if there's any rotation in it, this will be from the radar in the Aberdeen area, and no, but what we are seeing is this backward C-shape gusty wind blowing out of this beast, gusting in the direction of Hecla. So you're likely going to see a very strong wind gust pushing its way into Hecla from that, and maybe even a significant drop in temperature in your area as that burp of air comes out of the thunderstorm. Okay, now let's get back up to the storm and answer your question for Carrington and New Rockford. And let's go ahead and take a look. The Bowden storm does have just a very subtle northerly movement to it here. So it's moved here and to here in the last scan. Let me see if it'll go ahead and then I'll put the regular radar data back up here again. But there is a little bit of spin or shear in the storm as it's moving over the Bowden area and heading towards the Cathay area in Sykeston. Let's go ahead and take a look at the regular single site data. I'm going to switch the radar back to Mayville. So let's wait for that to populate. And what we'll do, we'll get a closer look at this storm here. So in New Rockford, we do have that storm that's just very near you and south. The Bowden storm is also moving in this subtly northerly direction. The model we just looked at carried these a little bit north. I'm not going to sound no all clear. That would be unwise of Hutch for Carrington because there's new development forming to the south. But the movement of this storm has stayed north of the highway here, Highway 200, and it's making its way off in that general direction again of Cathay. Sykeston, you'll likely be on the south side of this hail core. Fessenden, you're on the north side of the hail core. If you have crops out here, it could be a long night for some of those. Remember, this radar view is taking a look at what it's seeing inside the cloud above the ground. So as bad as it looks here, this might not be what's hitting the ground. Okay, so as we look up in the storm here from the Mayville radar, we can see that if the hail core is sustained and how high it reaches, that hail core leans back from here back and leans back towards Bowden. So way up high in the cloud, that updraft, that thunderstorm updraft is lofting those hailstones way up high in the atmosphere. How high, you say? Well, let me see if I can tell you. Let's go here, and I'm going to look at the radial measurement tool. This tells me the height of this scan is about 2,600 feet above the ground, so a good half a mile above the ground. So it's lofting big hailstones a good half mile up above the ground. This cell here is lofting hailstones a good, that's 15,000 feet above the ground. 15,000 feet. That's 3 miles above the ground. I misread that. There's no comma here. 25.9 thousand feet is how high that hail core is lofting up. That's really high in the atmosphere, okay? I can go up another scan level and we still see some blues here, which would indicate a high reflectivity and likely the likelihood of hailstones there. And that is 32,000 feet where the jetliners fly. So that gives you a little bit of a feel for how high this storm is lofting big time hailstones. And another reason why we don't recommend you need aircraft travel tonight. So VFR, not recommended in these storms. All right, there's a look at the new Rockford storm as well. We'll get back down to the lowest elevation angle. I got to turn this measuring tool off. It is kind of handy to show folks just how high up this is measuring the different reflectivities in the cloud, so that you know that when you look at a radar image on your weather app or maybe even on a broadcast news channel, we use a smooth radar a lot of times. I didn't like to, but this is what you'll see on TV. And it'll take the strongest reflectivity over a town or over a point on the map and plot that color on there. But that doesn't mean what's hitting the ground. So you might have seen this in your town before, where it looks like hail's hitting your town and you don't see nothing. Well, the radar picked it up 30,000 feet above the ground. It maybe isn't falling on the ground. That's why I like to look at what is called the single site radar scans. Even though they look more pixelated, you're looking at the data from individual slices of the atmosphere. Hey, Allium 369, I appreciate your kind words out there. I did teach introduction to meteorology to students at a local state college for the better part of 17 years. So I love passing along knowledge. I love educating. Any question is a good question. And if I see it and can get to it, I will. Darlene says, what are you expecting for Cooperstown, please? So if you take a look at the Griggs County area here, these storms right now are in this line from Washburn all the way up to Mackville, and they'll be moving in that direction. That doesn't mean I can rule it out. There'll be some strong storms more likely in Mackville the way it looks right now to me. So I hope that helps, Darlene. Head to bed, relax, enjoy your night. If you hear thunderstorms, I'll be here covering them tonight to let you know if and when anything becomes strong to severe. Whoa! Awesome. We got some thunder now up on the Highway 11 corridor in Roseau County. Much needed rain. Are you kidding me? We got a little bit of rain starting to sneak down into Marshall County, Minnesota. I hope it's hitting the ground and it's only one pimple, but we'll take a pimple. In Warren, just north of Warren, there's a little bit of shower activity trying to make its way down into your neck of the woods right now. Here's the general movement of that rain. I'll show you this on another radar scan here. Let's take a look as we take a peek at this right now. So here we go. These showers are basically just meandering along this same area and finally starting to spread into Marshall County down to the south. So I said there was a chance earlier of rain, and I'm praying with you there in Marshall County that you get some rain because it is much needed in your area. Couple of cells trying to form in and around this area near Bemidji and out towards Bagley, but nothing as stout as this. This is the main event that's going on as we look out. Whoopsie, there went my banner. Hey, that was fun. Not. I forgot to lock her into place. All right. Let's go back to the other radar, and I think we're going to continue to keep our folks in mind on what's going on. Russell, I'm glad I make it fun. Hutch SPC says a watch possible, 40% chance maybe. All right, well, we do have some stout thunderstorm. If we take a look at that energy in the atmosphere, as I mentioned a little bit ago, if you're with me at the top of this broadcast, I told you that there's enough energy here for some pretty strong storms. But was there a cap? Well, that cap is breaking. It's unzipping right now. Those storms are punching through that cap now, whereas earlier they were not. And the energy from this storm making its way through as well. Most of these storms making their way through South Dakota tonight. All these blue icons you see here, damaged wind reports, wind measurements of over 50, 60, and 100 mile per hour wind estimates topping some power lines. Hey, are you without power? Let me tell you. Hutch has got you covered. Let's take a look at what's going on with the power outages here. These are tracked companies by this website. And I can see here that we don't have too bad of a problem showing up in South Dakota, so it must be pretty limited. And as you look along the Missouri River Valley here, as we get into the this area, there's no tracking going on there. So it does look like most of these customers are not seeing significant power outages across central portions of South Dakota where the 100 mile per hour wind gusts were reported. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't some isolated places that are being impacted. There were reports of numerous power lines down in the storms down there, not far from Pierre, not far from Phillip. And let's see, I'm looking at some wind reports out here. And we did get estimated winds from the storms out there of up to 100 miles per hour. Okay, so back to the storm coverage we go on the radar, the latest showing these storms are heading in the general direction of you folks in Ludden right now. So here's that hail core we've been watching, and it's still holding together, folks. So Hecla, it looks like the hail core is sliding just north of you. Very heavy rain likely about to start in your area. Ludden, the hail core is moving in your general direction as we speak. So we do have some stout and severe thunderstorms working their way off to the east at a pretty slow clip, only 25 miles per hour. I believe at last check, if my fading memory serves me correct, 1104 was the estimated ETA for Ludden. It's still moving at about 26, 27 miles per hour. We're at 1104 still. So that holds true for Hecla and Ludden. So the hail core is going to move over you, and it isn't a guarantee that hailstones are going to hit your town. Remember, this is what the radar is seeing from Mayville, North Dakota. And in real time here, I'm going to switch this over and take a look at what's going on from the Aberdeen radar and see if that hail core is in the exact same spot. And what we're looking at a different radar view from a much closer radar, and let's see what it sees as it's a little bit closer to the ground from the Aberdeen radar. And this one's taking its time firing up on the old screen here, so I apologize for that. So I think I'll switch back to the Mayville radar. There we go. I can see it loading. So we'll switch back to the radar. I'm going to switch one more time just because I'm fidgety and I want to load it up. There it is. Okay, good. It loaded up that time. We do have a warning continuing for the Carrington area storm off to the west of you. We just talked about that, but let's take a look at this radar here. Yep, it's still on the doorstep of Ludden, this hail core here. As I turn on the hail size estimates from the radar scan here, it takes a second for that data to load on in here too, but we still have better than 1.5 to 2 inch diameter hail potential in isolated places. Notice this whole area that's red is not getting the hail, but it's these pixels that Hutch is looking at here to track the hail core. And there are some products on here. Let me show you right now why using single site radar data is a little bit more handy. Here is the hail core on the most recent lowest level scan from the Aberdeen radar. Now here's a product that a lot of radar folks might show you in other media, and it's I call it my hail tracker. So if I pull up the hail tracker, it shows there's a hail core here, but it has the big hail back here. This is based off of somewhat older data, and we can look at where the hail core is. This is showing the strongest hail core right now to the on the South Dakota side of the border. Now, if we take a look at what's called dual polarization radar data, I can get a better pin on where exactly that hail core is right now, and it is right here where this gray is showing up. So that's why looking at the real-time lowest level scan, one scan at a time, looking at individual layers is a better tool for picking out where the location of that hail core is now near the surface. And it's moving into Ludden, and it's just a couple of minutes away. So if you're in the Ludden area out there in parts of south central North Dakota, if you're south of Oaks, let me know what you're noticing with regards to this storm. But otherwise, seek shelter in that interior room, stay away from windows, get the vehicle inside the garage. If you have a glass picnic table, 1 to 2 inch diameter hail might do a number on that. So gusts of wind out of this storm, by the way, could exceed 60 miles per hour. So Hutch is issuing a trampoline alert. If you have a trampoline in your downwind from these storms, now is a good time to secure that thing if it isn't already. Turn it upside down and pin that puppy down to the ground. You don't want that thing going airborne and then your neighbors finding it on top of their house. Macville, new warning for you and portions of Eddy County as well. Let's get to that one. That's a brand new one. I'm going to switch the radar back to Mayville here. We saw those storms starting to fester up like a bad old corn on the back of the foot. And here we go. We got some thunderstorm activity north of McHenry. As we take a look at that, that's moving in the Tolna direction. This is the storm that's warned for. Let me go back to a regular radar view here so we can all digest this in stages. This is not the severe storm. This is the severe storm. This is the hail core right here. The National Weather Service says this storm is moving east-northeast at 40 miles per hour, 1.5 inch diameter hail. Will this fizzle out before it hits Minnesota? Holly, No, I think that these will persist. Will they stay severe? Likely there could be a couple severe ones the way things are looking right now. 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1.5-inch diameter hail. Let's track it. So as we take a look at this storm right now, this is the severe one. This is a strong one, but not the one the warning's issued for. It's this one. Moving in that east-northeasterly direction at 40 miles per hour. That's a pretty fast move, and I'll put it up to 43. Tolna will be in the path, the central path of this hail core by 11:22. So if you're in rural areas along Highway 20 north of McHenry and near Warwick, it's difficult for me to say, I apologize. That storm will be very close to the Warwick area here as we go through the next 10 minutes. So keep that in mind. That'll be closer to 11:14. 11:22 Tolna, peaking by 11:26 if it keeps on going out towards Macville. 11:34 Hutch will be here to let you know. We got hammered a few weeks ago in the south, in South Hart. Yeah, everyone's car roofs and everything got ruined. Okay, so you're talking out western parts of the state out there, and that's just terrible. Where was a tornado? There was a tornado south of us, and a hailstorm brought 90-mile-per-hour winds, and these are some wild storms. It's been a relentless summer of weather here in North Dakota, and it's been a long time since I remember being at this persistent week after week after week. Okay, we do have a line of strong thunderstorms. Not all of them have been warned for, but they go all the way out to Washburn. I can switch over to the Bismarck radar and see these a little bit better, but these are all strong. McLean County, we're talking Sheridan County, McCluskey. You got some strong ones in the southern half of your county. These are going to be drifting off into central and southern parts of Wells County. Now, all of these will be moving in the same direction. And if you can think of these little individual thunderstorm cells, one here, one here, one here, one here, they're locked together like a train. And we call this training. So there could be areas along this path, particularly up here, that get 1 storm, 2 storms, 3 storms, 4 storms, 5 storms. And if the heavy rain core of that storm moves right over your community once, twice, 3 or 4 times, we're going to see some spots that could have over 3 inches of rain. Let's take a look at the rainfall potential with these storms right now as we take a look at the storm total precipitation estimates. These do get skewed by hail just a little bit, but let's take a look. My neighbor is out in his John Deere running his hay baler out in this stuff, and you know what? I understand. My folks used to, they got to get it up before this rain hits it, or it gets to be moldy hay, and it's just no good to feed your cows and your horses. My folks raised horses, moldy hay. It's just not good. So I hope he gets it done before anything severe hits him, Northern Paul. Thank you for the note out there. And if he doesn't know, if you know his cell phone number, you might want to let him know these storms are severe. Here's a look at the rainfall estimates. How much rain has fallen from these storms already? It's estimating 3 inches near Bowdoin. Contaminated somewhat by hail. What did you get in your rain gauge? I'll look at some others, but you can see 1 to 3 inches of rain in parts of central Wells County from these storms. Right on the Eddie Foster County line here between Carrington and New Rockford, we got estimates between 1 and 2 inches as well. On the South Dakota border, this puppy down here is dumping like a bathtub full of dirty water out there. 1 to 3 inches of rain estimated near Frederick and south of Ellendale. So there's going to be some flooding concerns from this, even though we've been hot, and some areas have been a little bit on the dry side. But in Ellendale and the Frederick area, you're right in that James River Valley, and it's got more terrain there. So you're definitely going to have some problems there with some fast running water out there. So we'll keep our eyes on this. And now we'll look what's going on out here. Oh, we already did look at that. Now, this is the Tolna storm out there. That's already put down about 1 inch of rain. So if this training continues with this long line of storms that extends out towards Washburn, and these all slowly drift over the New Rockford and Carrington areas, I'm concerned for you about some very heavy rainfall amounts. And we got rainfall estimates here by the Doppler radar from the more day-long rain going on from Kitson County through Roseau County of 2 inches of rain. He just drove back to his barn, says Northern Paul. I'm glad he did. Those are some nasty storms. All right, let's take a look at what's going on. I can check these measurements. So we notice that this is saying 1 to 3 inches of rain in these parts. And because of that, let's take a look at what's fallen in rain gauges. Now, This is an estimate from the Doppler radar. It's really cool to be able to find places in between rain gauges of where the heaviest rain fell. That's why it's a useful tool. Oopsies, what am I doing here? Moving my graphics around. That was a look at our 7-day forecast for Fargo, North Dakota. Now let's take a look at the rainfall measurements from my friends at the North Dakota Agricultural Weather Network from today's rainfall. Today's rainfall, no stations to measure the rain up here in Roseau County, but we do have upwards of 1/3 of an inch or a little bit more in parts of south of Cavalier. So we got 2 to 3/10 of an inch there. The rest of us are just getting started. As we take a look at what's coming across the border here near Oaks, that storm is on its way to you. It'll be interesting to see what you get. We do have a couple of stations in and around New Rockford and Carrington, southern parts of Wells County, rather. Looks like about 21 100ths recorded there so far today as those storms are moving through. But the Doppler radar estimates in a couple of these areas are very lofty. So isolated places, not the entire county, could have already over 2 inches of rain in parts of central and southern Wells County, where we see this little purplish white dot right here through the Sheridan and Wells County areas. Okay, that's a look at that. Let's take a look at our intensity. Let's take a look at that energy in the atmosphere again. We've lost our sun. Our temperatures are starting to come down just a little bit. Here's our air temperatures across the region right now. We got 68 is great in Grand Forks. That's the cool side of the storm. We've had those cool showers up in the Roseau County area. Still 79 sticky degrees in Fargo, 82 Minneapolis, 81 Sioux Falls. Now, the hot air, is it humid? We can look at what's called the dew point temperature. It's a temperature that we have to cool the air down for the air to be saturated. So if the temperature of the air is close to the dew point, it means the air is awful juicy. Look at this nonsense. We have dew points in the 70s thanks to cornfields and the crops that are growing, the soybeans out there. They're releasing more moisture into the atmosphere as well as air making its way up from the Gulf. That's causing some very sticky air. So we got dew points near 70 degrees here in the Southern Valley. That's a lot of moisture, and that is the energy. That is the fuel for these thunderstorms tonight. If we got wind blowing up into these thunderstorms from the south that is strong, then by golly, we're going to have enough energy in these storms to really allow them to persist. So as we look at the wind direction and speed on these, we've got winds at only 8 miles per hour, not too strong near the surface. It's coming from the southeast. So just off the ground, if we can get a higher energy wind into these storms, it could allow them to last and be fairly strong all night long. And that's what my friends at the Storm Prediction Center are looking at now. Is there going to be a jet of air, of humid air that pushes into these thunderstorms to allow them to persist all night long? The model I chose for us tonight when we did the forecast says yes. How about Cape values, Justin? We're getting there. This number here, the temperature and the dew points near 70, I'm telling you, that's high energy air. So here's your Capes. You ask, you shall receive. Let's take a look at those right now. As we take a look at the convective atmospheric potential energy, this is how buoyant the air is. The higher these numbers are, the faster the air will want to rise. And I said, here we go, but my computer isn't loading it up. So we'll just kind of give it just a second. I may have to load something else up. Here's your risk for severe weather. Let me see if I can put the watches up here as well. Okay, so there remains a watch in central South Dakota. That watch is in effect until midnight as we look at the clock. All the times on Hutch's weather here, by the way, are central daylight time. Okay, now let's see if I can get that energy level on the atmosphere loaded back up. I don't know why this software has not been as responsive as I like it. When I click on something, sometimes it doesn't load something up right away. Here it is. Okay, so going to something else and retrying was the answer. Justin, here's your answer. Anywhere you see this pink or purple, the atmosphere is completely loaded. It's a loaded powder keg right now. So there's no rising energy of significance up here in the showers and thunderstorms we see in Roseau County and Kitson County, north of Grand Forks, north of the Highway 2 corridor through Minnesota. The energy in Bemidji is very low. It's along Interstate 94 and Highway 200 here where we have that energy in the atmosphere. What are these values? You're going to be surprised. Check this nonsense out. 4,000 to 5,000 joules per kilogram from Jamestown all the way down into Wilmer in Minnesota. This is close to 5,000 here where you see this purple nonsense. Oof. That pastel is not my pal because that's 5100 K energy. That is a ton. So this is definitely an area of the atmosphere where we could get some rapidly rising air working its way through. There is energy here. As these storms move out into Minnesota and move into areas where the energy is lower, the risk of severe weather does go down. But here's the thing, this whole blob of pink is going to advect or move off to the east as we go through the night, as the south winds move off to the east, and as the drier air moves in behind it, this whole area of higher energy will move off. You're welcome, Justin. Thanks for asking. Are we going to get rain in Fargo? If you look at the latest radar, here's what's going on, and I am going to wrap up and take a break. We got a whole bunch of new warnings for you to go over. New warning now for the area in the Gwinner area. Let's start south and go north. So this storm has the largest hail potential. So as you look out towards Foreman, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning issued by the National Weather Service. This warning is in effect until 12:15. It's for this storm out here that has ridiculous hail that now is making its way through Ludden and heading its way into your area. This warning is for 1 1/4 inch diameter hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and we'll be moving towards Gwinner and Foreman in the upcoming few minutes. Now let's track it for you. Here's the hail core right here. It's not hiding. It's all this blue and pink blinky stuff, and it's moving off to the east-northeast. We're going to put it at about 30 miles per hour. Cogswell will be near you by 11:45, a half hour. So it's a ways out from your community. Foreman by around 11:58. So this storm is moving in the direction of Foreman. It's a long ways out. Now is the time to batten down the hatches, put the vehicle in the garage, because this is a big hail producer and it's maintained that hail potential for some time now. New warnings been issued for the storms that are now making their way through New Rockford. So this is a little tiny little warning right here. Boom, that little polygon for this hail cell just south of New Rockford. The National Weather Service, that cell is capable of 1 1/2 inch diameter hail. That's big time hail just south of New Rockford right now, and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Not everybody's getting the 60-mile-per-hour winds, and not everybody's going to get the 1 1/2 inch diameter hail. But the area it is in right now is right here, just south of New Rockford. How far, you say? Hutch says the main hail core right here is 5.5 miles to the south and west, southwest of New Rockford at this time. There is another little hail core showing up right here about 3 miles to the southeast of New Rockford as well. So if you're in areas along Highway 15, along and south of Highway 15, that's where this cell is heading in the upcoming minutes. It's only moving at 12 miles per hour. So as we talked about just seconds ago, torrential rain. Heading into Tolna now, in the Pekin area is this thunderstorm. This one, non-severe. This is the severe storm that's been warned for. There is some hail from this storm just north of Pekin. It's moving off to the east. Let me see what speed it's moving with at this particular juncture. Okay, so this storm here is estimated to be moving off to a more easterly direction. Its speed of movement is 20 miles per hour. If it's moving east or northeast, it's going to stay away from Pekin and Macville, but not this one. This one's moving right into Pekin and right towards Tolna right now, and that one's moving at an estimated 30 miles per hour. The National Weather Service warning says it's moving at 40 miles per hour to the east-northeast. 40 miles per hour. Let's go ahead and time out that puppy and let you know when it's going to make its way into your area. So here we go. The leading edge of the severe hail producing storm. Moving along at about, I'm going to put it at 38 to 40 miles per hour, will be in Tolna by 11:27, so 9 minutes. So in Tolna, be prepared. And I think Tolna, you have the best chance at seeing this storm impact you based on the hail core and where it is now. Now, the hail might fall out of the whole storm by the time it gets to you, and that's my hope for Tolna. But if you're in Tolna, you're in the direct path of this hail core here. This area, heavy rain heading into Pekin. Could it peak up and make some hail? Yes. Is there hail above the ground? Let me look. Boom, bing, bing. A little bit. Yep. Hail way up high in the sky. But most of it's heading right over Tolna. So Tolna to Pekin, those have the greatest chance at seeing the big time hail from this cell as it looks to Hutch right now on this scan right now. Next, let's update you on the warning that's in effect until 12:15 for the next hour. They've re-upped this warning for this Goodrich through the areas here all the way through Carrington, until 12:15. 1 1/4 inch diameter hail and 60 mile per hour wind gusts from this. And we can pick up that there are multiple cells here. One just east of Fessenden, one just west of Carrington. So if you are in Carrington and if you're in New Rockford, yes, you do have a chance at seeing these storms. How about Bismarck? Any bad weather? Let's go, Susan. I got you covered. Goodrich, McCluskey, you have stout thunderstorms here, but see how the radar data is falling apart? Let me tell you a story. This story is an interesting one. Here's the radar in Mayville. The beam goes out this way. It's passing through a thunderstorm. Some of the energy gets reflected back toward the radar. Some reflects out in all directions, down toward the ground even. So there's less energy making it out here. Do you see how schmutzy this radar data looks? It's because that beam is moving through thunderstorms, and we call that attenuation taking place there. So some lightning going on with these cells as well within the last 3 to 5 minutes. So dangerous storms making their way through central and southern parts of Wells County right now. I'm going to go to the Bismarck radar, and we should get a less schmutzy view of what's going on south of McCluskey right now. And there is a better view. Now, these storms, I will tell you, have some hail potential south of McCluskey, but as we go out to the west a little bit farther towards Beulah, isolated, very isolated hail-producing cells. Bismarck. All this is staying to the north of you right now, but just to your southwest, this is going to be moving in your direction. So I'd be watching these puppies down here. Not a lot of bark to them right now as we take a look. There are a couple of cells that might have some hail. New England, Mott, as we look into Grant County on the northern fringes there, north of Elgin. Those cells do have a chance at producing some small hail with them. They are non-severe at this time. So that's what we got going on. The main event going here. I would not be surprised if these storms here in southern parts of Sheridan County here, not far from McCluskey, are flirting with severe levels right now. At Home with Carmen says, I recently read something along the lines of nothing good happens at 5,000 Cape. That's right. And by Cape, I'm not talking about what Superman wears. It's convective atmospheric potential energy. And I like to equate it to this. If you got a golf ball or something in the atmosphere and it's updraft in a storm, updrafts, they support the weight of raindrops all the time, right? And that's how those raindrops form and get bigger and bigger. But if the updraft is super strong, we can get pea or marble-sized hail. If it's super strong, we get 1-inch diameter hail, the size of a quarter. If it's ridiculous strong updrafts, we get ping pong balls, golf balls, tennis balls, baseballs, softballs, grapefruits, and larger falling out of the sky. So the more energy there is, usually the faster the rising air is. And we're talking rising air between 70 and over 100 miles per hour. What are the odds for a tornado in Carrington, Joe? The odds are very low. Let me take a look. I have been keeping my eyes on the spin in the storm. The storm has been showing some signs of weak spin, wide. I guess I'd call it not gate to gate where it's spinning real tight next to each other, but it's a broad rotation, kind of like spinning on your chair, okay? So as we take a look at this, we got bright motion towards the Bismarck radar here and motion away from it way over here. This storm might have the most interesting and intriguing tight rotation north of Carrington, south of New Rockford. So before there was some spin in the cells near the Bowden area. This one moving right over Highway 281 here could possibly have some, see how we have bright greens, pretty doggone close to bright reds. That's a tighter spin in the lower angles of the cloud. I'll double Doppler that by looking at the Mayville radar data and see if it shows me the same dang thing. So while we wait for that to load up, let's see. It's not liking my... There it is. Okay, so now it's loading up the radar from Mayville. And as we look at New Rockford, motion away from Mayville, and the motion towards is nowhere near as strong as what we were seeing from the Bismarck radar. They're shooting at different layers in the cloud. So the Mayville radar is just a wee pinch closer. But as we go up just a bit, it looks exactly like the Bismarck one did right here, right over the 281 sign. So there's two Dopplers that indicate at some level of the atmosphere. Let me tell you how high that is. Shall we look at that? Yep, says Hutch. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so Hutch says we're going to look at how high this spin is in the atmosphere above the area. And it is 11,000 feet off the ground that it's picking up the rotation. Oh, we have a new severe thunderstorm watch to tell you about, and I'm excited to do that right here quick. But what does this mean? What this means is it doesn't mean it's making a tornado, but there's some spin in the storm 11,000 feet up. That's what the hard decision is of my colleagues at the National Weather Service. Is it strong enough to issue a tornado warning? Do we have any evidence? There are spotters out here probably watching these storms and reporting to the Weather Service. Another little bit of spin out here south of Bowdoin. That doesn't mean a tornado is on the ground. It means we have a rotating thunderstorm. And it does mean that it's one to take seriously. Seek shelter in that interior room. Stay away from the daggone windows. Put the car in the garage and batten down the hatches as these storms follow through. So I hope that answers your question about Bismarck. Will it weaken once it hits Norman and Trail County? I can hope so. It honestly looks like it's going to move to the northeast. Let's review that forecast for you one more time. I'm going to spill it to you one more time. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on as we take a look at the good model, the one that I've been using the last couple of days. I've been pretty impressed with. But here it has a very, very close identical look at what the radar looks like now as we cross into the whatever time it is, 11:30 time frame. And it does have it moving through Grand Forks, Polk County, Marshall County, and some much needed rain for Marshall County. If we could get it, we don't want hail. There is a chance for some hail tonight with these storms. There's energy in the atmosphere. But notice these ones that make it out towards Bemidji. And remember, we were just looking at that energy in the atmosphere was way lower in Bemidji. These storms were falling apart. But then Hutch said if we get south winds feeding these storms, they could last all night. And this model says they could last most of the night and finally fizzle out at daybreak as we go off into the arrowhead of Minnesota. So yes, in answer to your question, Myra, thank you for your question, and I appreciate you watching. Rain in Grand Forks and thunderstorms, the best and most likelihood time frame will be around that midnight to 1 a.m. time frame. And this train of storms that we're looking at on the radar trains its way through Grand Forks, meaning you could get some healthy rainfall amounts in Grand Forks, Northwest Polk County, Marshall County. I'm hoping for Marshall County that you do get some of that rain because I know it's much needed. Another round of strong storms, possibly severe, takes place as we go through your afternoon tomorrow. Those fire up in southeast North Dakota here. And on a line into eastern South Dakota, those could be stout to strong. Notice they exit southeast North Dakota fairly quickly. Our risk of storms tomorrow will not be overnight, but will be in the earlier part of the event. So now back to the radar we go. I do want to break away to take myself a little break, get some water, and get back down here. I will keep my eyes on things here for you as we go through. And I'll be here covering these storms. I can guarantee it. And so let's go ahead and take a look at what we have going on here. Active warnings do continue right now for our viewers down here in the Oaks, Ellendale, Foreman, and Gwinner areas for this line of storms. And as I turn on the regular radar data, my eyes are failing me here. Okay, there we go. Look at the hail, which had crossed into North Dakota, headed into Ludden, and now this cell is forming down to the south. This baby has taken on a signature. To me, it looks like we've got a hook right here. You see that? There is new development on the South Dakota side of the border here right now that looks pretty intriguing to me. I'm going to look at the velocity on this. We're going to switch it over to the radar over here in Aberdeen because that radar is a lot closer. So as that loads up the Aberdeen radar, I'm going to switch it now over to storm relative velocity, and we'll see if this little finger area has some spin in it. Nope. I'm not seeing anything too awful terribly strong with that. What this bow shape tells me is this storm, that hail cell that moved through Ludden, collapsed, and it's throwing out a huge burp of wind from that storm that's heading in that general direction of you folks in Britain. So the hail core is along the state line. It's north of Britain, but it's not far from you in that area. So we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for that particular area. That warning for Foreman and for Gwinner and that region is in effect until 12:15, with the core of the hail making its way right through eastern Dickey County now and just punching into your area as we speak. So let's see here. As we go up, we have 3, 4 thunderstorm warnings. New Rockford, there's a warning for you. We have the Macville warning in Nelson County for cells. This was the main warned cell, but now this one's picking up some steam, and that'll be heading into central and northern parts of Nelson County shortly. And moving into New Rockford and Carrington area right now are some cells that have shown a little bit of a history of some rotation. Out there in the center area in Oliver County, North Dakota, it's not showing up very good, but there's some lofted hail cores up there by Washburn and the center area. Those storms are fairly stout at this particular time. That is it for this particular update. You're welcome for keeping you safe. I'm doing the best I can to provide you information to make decisions for you and your family. I'll be back with more information here as we go through the night tonight. Let's get that watch out to you. Let me see if it's even showing up on my computer yet, because the watch may have just been issued from the Storm Prediction Center. It takes a while for the National Weather Service offices locally to issue their counties that they include or exclude in the watch. But let's see if I can find the basics on the watch. Here we go. Yep, there it is. Fargo, Grand Forks, Jamestown, Valley City, all the way through the Highway 200 corridor here. So Wells County, all the way through Griggs, Steele, Trail County, and off into northern Minnesota, we have a severe thunderstorm watch. How late is Hutch going to be up tonight? It looks like this thunderstorm watch is in effect. Why is no data coming up for me here? Come on, cooperate. There it is. This watch is in effect until 6 a.m. Gusts of wind to 65 miles per hour. Max cloud tops 55,000 feet. 2-inch diameter hail from the strongest cells. And is this a particularly dangerous situation? No. But a few thunderstorms tonight as we go through the overnight hours could indeed be severe. All right, that's a look at what's going on. We have active severe thunderstorm warnings in place right now, a watch in effect until your daybreak hours. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I will keep you updated. Grand Forks, you have a better chance at seeing this long train of storms make its way through you and towards Marshall County. Notice up here, we do have some thunderstorms up in Roseau County and Kitson County, but that energy in the atmosphere, extremely low for severe thunderstorms. They are pretty high here. Why not down here? You know what? The energy in the atmosphere down here was quite high as well. We'll just have to see how this situation pans out as we go into the evening hours. I think we may have a few strong storms down south of Fargo as well. Fargo, we are in the thunderstorm watch, as is Valley City, Ellendale. You are not in the watch, but we do have a thunderstorm warning that is now just moving off to the Gwinner area. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your uploads and reports of weather information right here. You can post comments on my lives on Facebook and on YouTube. And if you do have data to share in the form of videos or pictures, those can be uploaded to hutchesweather.com. Please follow me on Facebook. I'm Hutch Johnson, Chief Meteorologist. You can search me up on Facebook. And on YouTube, I'm Hutch's Weather. That's my channel, and I'd love to have you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. For now, stay safe, batten down the hatches. Weather for Twin Valley, Andrew, is stormy. Thunderstorm watch has been placed in effect for your area until 6 a.m. The storms will not arrive until the wee hours of the morning and after 2 a.m. the way it looks to me right now. That's your answer. I'll be back to answer more questions. And thanks for reminding folks there at home with Carmen to have folks like the videos. PDS equals particularly dangerous situation, Northern Paul. Yes, that's true. And that this watch is not a PDS watch. It's just a severe thunderstorm watch, which means a few storms tonight could pulse up, become severe, hail, upwards of 2 inches in diameter, gusts of wind upwards of 65 miles per hour possible. I'll be back with more updates through the overnight as deemed necessary, but batten down the hatches and I'll